there, it's Siobhan with Relatable, and I am back with an all-new episode for our Marriage Makeover Monday. Thanks so much for joining me. This is where I provide my expert advice for your most common marriage issues and questions, all in under 4 minutes. So let's get right to this week's question. And it's about in-laws. How do you deal with meddling in-laws? How many of you can relate to this question? I know it's a common issue that a lot of couples deal with, and it's a really delicate issue to deal with as well. So when you think about your in-laws, it's your husband's family. It's people that have raised him and loved him and helped him to become the person that you now love. And so when they're meddling or when they overstep their boundaries, it is really an uncomfortable thing that can quickly turn into a very frustrating situation. And so the first thing that I'll recommend is that you share your concerns with your husband and do so in a very respectful way. Of course, this is his family. He loves them and cares for them and wants everything to be great between, you as his wife and his family. And so it's really important that you share, how this impacts you and your desire to protect your relationship, that it not become a finger pointing at, your mother is this or your father does this, but really that you come from a place of understanding how this is making you feel and what your true concerns are and how, again, you really just want to protect your relationship. The second thing is to create clear boundaries. So this may be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but you and your husband really need to talk about what you will discuss and what you won't discuss with other people. I recommend that you really do not discuss any marital issues, even if you think you'll get great advice. You really should talk to a professional or an objective party who can give you advice when you need it. But really the best solutions to any problems you have is with your partner and with your husband and having those conversations together. But again, in this situation with meddling in-laws, I encourage you to just get on the same page about what you talk about and what you don't talk about. That's everything from, the children to, how things are going in your relationship. Be very clear about the boundaries that you two will agree to when it comes to talking to others. The third piece of advice I have is to have a scripted response. So one of the reasons it's so frustrating when people try to get in your business is because sometimes it takes you off guard. Sometimes the questions come from left field and you don't really know what to say. So you might respond inappropriately and then be frustrated with yourself for not really standing your ground. And so what I suggest is that you know what you're going to say ahead of time, especially with those family gatherings. You know the questions are going to come. So make up in your mind what you will do to respond. You can use a variety of techniques. If you're a funny person, you can use humor and just shrug it off. If you're a more serious person, you might use it as an opportunity to educate others, to just simply say, my husband and I don't really like to talk about those things with others. We really are focused on protecting our relationship, on working through our issues together, and we appreciate your care, but I'm just not going to have that conversation with you. So you don't have to use those words. I'm sure you will know exactly what it is you want to say, but again, think about it ahead of time so that you're not caught off guard. And then the fourth piece of advice is to remember that meddling people really have their own set of issues that have nothing to do with you. And so try not to take things personally. They may be coming from a place of genuine care and concern and may just not know how to communicate that appropriately. Or they really could just be plain nosy. And if that's the case, you're not going to be able to change that about them. What you can manage is your own mindset as you interact with them. So again, keep your cool. Remember, it's not about you. If they're asking questions about your life, they're probably asking questions about everybody's life. They're just that type of person. And you need to just accept that about them. And so those are my 4 pieces of advice. Again, communicate your concerns, create clear boundaries, have a scripted response, and try not to take it personally. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if you have additional questions or if I can provide further clarification. And I encourage, again, all of us that are a part of this community to chime in. How have you dealt with meddling in-laws? I'd love to hear. Thanks again for this question, and I will see you next week.